So I'd like to show you how to do foundation, concealer and powder. The first thing that we use is foundation, concealer, powder I should say. The first thing that we're going to show is how to apply the foundation. Now foundation needs to match the person's face colour. So the first thing you would do is get a foundation that looks similar to the colour, then give it a quick shake, put it onto your hand, just a tiny little bit, and match it. Just turn your head, Jonna. Just match it onto the side of the face. Rub it in, and if it disappears, it's the perfect shade. Now I've actually got the perfect shade for Joanna here, so I'm just going to continue on with that. So I'm going to put a little bit onto my hand. I'm going to get a sponge, latex sponge, and I'm going to dab it on. Okay, so we just go all over the face. Just close your eyes, Joanna. Blending right up into the hairline, across the nose. And these latex sponges are actually really nice because you've got these little sharp edges which can get into all the nooks and crannies. Now the reason that you use foundation is to even out the complexion. So it gives a nice soft, even colour and texture. So we just want to make the face as flat as we can. Now the key with this as well, as you see, I keep going over and I keep blending. And I'm doing it quite quick so it doesn't dry in streaks. And just lift up your chin, Joanna. And the key here is to make sure that you actually blend underneath the chin. So blend right down underneath the chin, right down onto her neck. And if Joanna was wearing a low t-shirt, you would blend onto the chest as well to even out the skin. So that looks great. So just make sure you're blending it into the ear, into the hairline, across the eyes, right up underneath the eyes, into the little sides of the nose. Don't leave any splodges. Great, fantastic. Just open your eyes, Joanna, and look up. And that's why these little, as I say, these little corners are great. Just blend in and down. Fantastic. These latex sponges are actually disposable. You would never use that sponge again because it's a rubber sponge, so you'd throw that in the bin. Okay, that's it finished with. The next thing that I'd like to do is to do the concealer. And the concealer goes underneath the eyes to cover up the dark patches here, the dark circles under the eye, and to cover up little spots. So the first thing we do is we do concealer palette. And we look at the eye and we think, okay, one shade lighter than your foundation, so it reflects the light of her face. So one shade lighter than her foundation would perhaps be a concealer of this colour. And if it helps, you can actually put it on your hand and match it against the colour of foundation. Now that foundation is actually a little bit too dark, so I'm going to use another concealer which is a little bit lighter. As we can see, that one is a very light concealer. So just take a little bit out, just put it onto the hand, clean brush, and Joanna, just look up for me. When you go into the eyes, make sure that they look up and away from where you're going to go in. So just on the little dark patches underneath the eye, pat. Okay. Do the same on the other side. I'm going to blend in a minute. Okay, so with the brush, just very gently, and with your finger, again, just look up, Joanna, keep your eyes looking up, just very gently pat underneath the eye just to blend it out. Okay, don't rub, don't really drag the skin, it's a really delicate area, so just very gently pat that. And again, just very gently. Now, the reason that we're doing it one shade lighter is to, as I said, to reflect the light of these dark patches. So don't make it too light, and don't make it the same colour as the foundation. Thanks, Joanna. That's great, just underneath the eye. And again, the whole purpose of this is to make the skin even in texture and colour. Okay, perfect. So if you look straight at the camera, you can see the difference there. The next thing you do is get a clean brush, and any little imperfections, spots, acne, you want to get rid of. Now, instead of doing it one shade lighter, you do it the same shade as the foundation. So I'm just going to use a little bit of the same colour. Okay. And just pat onto the spot. Just pat it on, just dot it on to the spot. And you can use your finger just to blend. And if it doesn't go, just keep going. So I'm just turn your head on. So you just keep going over it. And then blend with your finger. Just blend the edges out. Again, just pat the edges, turn your face. Thanks. And just keep going till all these little perfections have been taken away. Also go in the sides of the nose because they can be a little bit red. Again, your finger. Just turn your head. Again, just in these little corners. Use your finger. Try not to annoy the person by banging on their face like with like a little woodpecker reactions, but just be very, very gentle and just rub and blend. And you can see all these little imperfections are disappearing. Okay, so just very gently go. Okay. Anything on the cheeks, anything that you don't like the look of, you can just get rid. Now, concealer is heavier than foundation, which means that you only put it on the thing that needs to be changed or cancelled out, if you like. So it's not for all over the face, as you can see. It's quite good at covering up, is why it's called concealer. Okay, lovely. Now you can see that Joanna's face is completely even in colour and texture. And the last thing that you do is you powder. You use translucent loose powder, the same colour as the foundation, or as I'm going to use, which is colourless powder, which will go for any foundation because there's just no colour in it. It looks white, but actually it's got no colour in it. So again, get your powder puff and very gently go across to set the foundation. You need to powder because if you don't, the makeup will dissolve. It'll come off quite easily. So this is just a good technique to set the foundation. Okay, so you can give it a little bit of. Now, if you've got quite a lot of wrinkles underneath your eyes, don't press the powder in too much there. So it's just a case of going across, taking away the shine. Just across the eyelids a little bit. Okay, great. And then the next thing that you want to do is to, if you've got too much powder, you can either use a brush to get rid of it or a little pad and just get rid of that excess translucent powder, which might be sitting on the skin. Now, we all have little hairs on our face, so you must make sure that all of that is taken away around here. So just very gently get rid of the excess powder across your eyebrows, across the head. And there we have a lovely, even complexion.